Good morning, Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. How is everybody doing this morning? I hope everybody's doing well. And it's funny, I remember trivial dates sometimes. August 4th, it seems like yesterday's. I believe, some reason, I remember it as a day either I left the camp or came back from camp. I used to go to a sleepaway camp, and it seemed like a long time, but it just seemed like a long time ago. It was decades and decades ago, another part of my life. But anyway, yes, the title of this sugar-coated anti-Semitism and the Holocaust and its secondary offense, the actions and behaviors that added insult, that added a dagger. And only thing I can compare it to, if any of you guys, I'm sure some of you are, into criminal cases. I've always been interested in law enforcement and the study of criminal justice, and I notice, a lot of these cases, especially in the victim impact statements. They always talk about how there was another crime that took place after like not just the murder, when a suspect or perpetrator, convict, whatever, convicted murderer takes away, kills. They also rob, they rob a family of that loved one, and the secondary effects. That's what victim impacts are. All trials, when they go through all that crap, all the gruesome details, that's a secondary injury. It's like putting the knife in the dagger. And I cite that as a reference, the knife in the dagger, the knife in the wound, these secondary offenses. I cite that because of the Holocaust. Because not only did a horrible thing happen, 6 million Jews were needlessly sent to their death, but these secondary wounds, which were perpetrated by the ignorance and the passive hostility, the passive anti-Semitism of the world. And I cite that as a reference because of today, because what's going on today, because of the gaslighting, because of the sugar-coated anti-Semitism. That's what I get down to. But I want to go, before I get up to that, I want to go back to what happened in the Holocaust. The world ignored the Jews. They were not there for them. The Jews desperately tried to escape Europe. They desperately tried to go to other countries which would not let them in. The whole world quietly sat and went la-di-da-da and went about their business and did all this shit, whatever, turned their backs on the Jews, okay? A lot of the European countries were not hospitable or favorable to the Jews. And then all of a sudden, when America busts into these concentration camps and finds all the heart, all of a sudden, suddenly the world, their heart goes at all these people, all these liberal people, all these bleeding hearts, all these people who care about, humanity and poverty and the oppressed and all that shit, who probably had some sympathy for the Jews up till probably around the year 2000, when the world started to change. All those people, where the hell were they when the Jews were being cast? Because I'm telling you, they were not there. They were in their heads were up their ass. They were part of the mass society that turned their backs on the Jews and were not there for the Jews, and suddenly cried and felt bad for the Jews at the end of after the fact. Monday morning quarterbacking. That's what happened after the Holocaust. There was Monday morning quarterbacking, and so that's why the Jewish people said, enough of this shit. 2,000 years of being treated like and stamped. No one, fuck it. Who gives a shit? Because the world always turns against the Jewish people, always. When things go bad, like, fuck it. They hate us anyway. They don't like us anyway. And that's why Israel was formed, so that the Jewish people could have a place to go to. But you know what happened? The Jewish people never even they were never given a break. You know why? Because one, they're supposed to be feeling, the world's supposed to be giving them sympathy, and they're supposed to have refuge and a place to go and a home to go. Guess what? All of a sudden, the Arab nations did not want them there. There was the hostilities in the Middle East. There was the wars. There was the Yom Kippur War, the 7-Day War, 19, all that shit. It never ended. Their drama, it was just a continuation of a virus called anti-Semitism, which rears its ugly head. But anyway, all these people, who gives a shit what they say? All these people crying, oh, genocide, Gaza, oh, I don't care, I don't hate Jewish people, I just don't like Zionists, I don't like what Zionists stand, blah, 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 yada. All these people, they were not there. Okay, if they were around in 1940, they would not be there to stop the Jews. Who gives a shit what they think? Because they're not even in their fucking flotillas, going in their flow, sponsored by Hamas. So I'm just trying to tell you, don't believe the hype and the gaslight. Anti-Semitism comes up in sugar-coated ways. Even all this talk about, pointing their liberals, progressive, pointing their fingers at Israel. It's almost condescending. You think about it in a way, because they don't come down on Hamas. All they do is point their fingers at Israel, and it's like bad Israel, right? Like bad Jewish people, good doggy, good Jewish people, bad doggy, bad Jewish people. It's condescending, it's sugar-coated, it's bullshit, it's the oppressed, it's a Marxist ideology which began in the past century when they were the very bright people behind this who decided to infiltrate the educational system. And they did a good job, because now we have a product of 26 years of an educational system where these beliefs were in. And I read an article in 2006. I remember the author had predicted that this was going to happen. Iran, China, Soviet Union, all these forces were and all these things came to fruition. Iran backing Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. So what's going on is just part of a cyclical virus. And I know that there's something else that I wanted to say, and I keep talking because I didn't write this in my notes, trying to hope that this will come back to me, this thought. I had one more key fact which I wanted to nail in. Hey, I could always talk about it. And but who really cares anymore? The world wasn't there for us then, right? They're not really there for us now. It's condescending. It's propaganda. Oh yes, I'm so glad I stuck around, because I didn't want to forget about this. This is the best part of the podcast. I almost respect the extreme Islamist jihadists, the ones who are right out in your face and tell you, we hate you. We hate Jews. Death to Jews. Death to Israel's. You Zionists. I almost respect them more than I respect the sugar-coated leftist politician who talks nice and smiles. Oh, we don't like Jews. Oh, no, we have no tolerance for anti-Semitism. No, for those bad Jews. You bad Jews. You better stop defending. What the hell is Israel supposed to do anyway? But that's besides. I respect your typical, stereotypical Palestinian, whatever, Middle Eastern, guy, Hamas, who's going to say, you're a Jew, I want you dead. Who would, because I take them seriously. And I know where they're coming from. And I also know that, like me, they come from a belief system that, they were indoctrinated. Some of them were converted, but a lot of them were indoctrinated into this core. It's very hard to shake a core ideology of thinking. This is a way of thinking that they grew up, they were raised with, like a tree root, just like I was raised and indoctrinated in a core way, with something you cannot just. So I know, and I know they're dangerous. They want me dead. They are my enemy. They will never be but I almost respect them more than the sugar-coated anti-Semites, the fake ones, the liberal ones who are actually racist in the beginning. Because if you think about it, the Democratic Party is actually the racist party. Okay, back in the 1800s, they were the racist ones. Lincoln was the one who freed the slaves. I believe he was a Republican. The Democrats were the racist. And if you think about it, a lot of things people do are projections of the way they feel, or their liberal talk and apologies and making up and cancel. It's like the guilt, like if they were back in 100 years ago, it's almost they feel the guilt of their ancestors, like it's in their genes. See, a lot of liberalism and things like that I had to learn is actually repressed hate, and it's almost like Christian people who talk about and profess about religion and not doing this and not doing that. And meanwhile, they're fornicating behind closed doors. So anyway, I'm going to post this now. And I know this sounds like a dumb self-revealing thing, but I'm going to see how many audio hits I get on this. And if I get some hits and people like this, then this will be out on YouTube as well. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for hearing me.